Mayor Olson.
Here.
Alderman Holtfer.
Here.
Alderman Mayer.
Here.
Alderwoman Wilhelm.
Here.
Alderwoman Hanneman.
Here.
Alderman Barber.
Here.
Alderman Nelson.
Here.
Please rise and join the Pledge of Allegiance. And after the Pledge of Allegiance, we're going to hold a moment of silence in honor of the anniversary of Pearl Harbor bombing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Mayor, the
Stand for a moment.
Yeah, I'll stand. Thank you very much. Saturday evening, we had a parade here, and we were fortunate to be joined by the Dancing Grannies in Milwaukee. I took the opportunity to offer a moment of silence along with
Recording in
Alderman Mayer
progress.
and Alderman Barber and Alderman Holtfer in honor of in memory of those who were killed or injured. Let's all remember them too. Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Mayer.
I'm sorry to overstep here. We just talked about Pearl Harbor. I think we have a couple of veterans here tonight as well that were maybe during that time or wars since then. Thank you for your service.
That's not an overstep. Okay. With that, we move on to item 1, citizens' comment period. Any citizen wishing to speak, please rise, come forward, give us your name and address, and let us know what you want to say.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, preempt the citizen comment period just with on a bit of a happier note. May we recognize your birthday today?
Oh, jeez. Thank you. Yeah, nobody brought cake. Oh, well. I don't need it.
That's what I was
Thank
supposed
you,
to get
Sharon.
Want to sing?
Thank you. No, you don't.
Yeah, we should sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mayor. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Connie.
Maybe one more.
Thank you for that little
This is what
interruption.
Medicare Plus One looks like. Okay, thank you, Alderwoman. Appreciate it. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone? Okay, nobody rise? I will close the citizens' comment period. Move on to mayoral announcements. Also on Saturday evening, the football team happened to be our grand marshals for the parade, so I offered a proclamation in exclamation for their state championship, and I did that in front of the crowd Saturday night, so I'll dispense with it tonight, but it is in the packet. So again, congratulations to the Franklin Sabres football team, state D1 football champions, undefeated.
Right.
And I'm here to tell you, Miles Burkett, he's a big guy. So anyway, okay. Item C in your agenda, approval of the regular meeting minutes of November 16th. Any additions or corrections? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Organizational business, there's a corrected copy of item E. These are appointments, actually reappointments to the Tourism Commission. Any requests for separate action? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Alderman Holtfer.
Aye.
Alderman Mayer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Wilhelm.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hanneman.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Nelson.
Aye.
Motion carries, 6 ayes, no noes, no absence, no abstentions. Move on to the consent agenda, item G1. Any requests for separate action? Is there, Mr. City Engineer?
G1B should be held, or not held, but approved with technical corrections. With some technical corrections, we'd like,
Mr. City Attorney.
The request is that approval be with changes to the resolutions, which in part will include consent forms to be executed by the property owners as well as specific privilege of the city to maintain the public utility need of the easements area, and not responsibility for any damage to the fences in relation thereto.
Correct.
Is there a motion with those changes?
So moved.
We're going to do Nelson and Holford. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G2 is Common Council confirmation of policies and procedures between Senior Travel Program and City of Franklin. Madam Director of Administration.
Thank you. In your packet, there is a council action sheet explaining this item. I did talk to Mr. Ryan a couple times between September and as recently as a couple weeks ago, and there were just a couple questions that he had asked me that I was including in the document so that the council was aware. There was a couple questions. One of them was a request that Mr. Ryan made on September 2nd of 2021 to carry over the 2020 unspent funds of approximately $10,000. The answer I provided to him at that time was the same as the one that's listed in the council action sheet. Since this program is part of the general fund of the city budget, which is funded through the taxpayers and authorized by the council, absent a specific request and purpose to carry the funds over into a subsequent year, any unspent funds would revert to the city's general fund. This is per generally accepted accounting principles, also known as GAAP, which all municipalities are required to follow. Since the initial request was made long after the close of the 2020 fiscal year, I informed Mr. Ryan that there is not anything I could do administratively to assist. Rather, there would need to be a council action to reappropriate those funds if the council was so inclined.
To restore all, or roll over all unspent funds.
Second.
First of all, clarify what years.
20 and
So your motion is for both years? That's your second?
No, mine was for understanding for 2021 rollover.
All right, is there a second? Alderman Wilhelm seconds. Alderman Nelson.
Yield, that's fine.
Okay. And the source of these funds?
They will have to come from the city's fund balance, so there'll have to be a budget amendment for the 2020 ones we can bring back at the next council meeting, and the 2021 funds, which is the next thing that I was going to say, those would be in question to be carried over because the fiscal year is still open, and we can bring those back at the December meeting as well.
And we need to be clear that the purpose of these funds is to reimburse for transportation. Alderman Wilhelm.
Well. Okay. I'm not sure about the tightness of the funds, if they have to switch up their program a little because we don't know where COVID's heading again. I'd like to be able to have them have the opportunity to be able to come in and request, if they want to do something here instead of making them travel there or something. So I'm thinking I'm leaving it open to the request for them to use the funds as they need for the senior program. Not that it would change drastically from what it is, but that they would at least be allowed to come in and say, okay, we're going to use it this way for travel versus, So that was, I think that's only appropriate given COVID. We don't know where it's going in it.
I agree with that.
Alderman Barber.
Just for clarity's sake. In the past, the group would use a bus and they'd submit an invoice to us and we would pay it. Is that correct?
Bus company.
The bus company. So is that still the same process that we're going to use for any future use of those funds? Where something has to be submitted to us in terms of what would be the new spending? What would be the accountability structure within any additional new spending of these funds that are going to be allocated, or, we were voting on to allocate. Is that the same process?
Mr. Ryan is here present. Could we
Certainly. First, though, Madam Director of Administration, what accounting rules do we need to adhere to in terms of audit and that kind of thing?
So really, the budget is in the purview of the council, so the council will determine the purpose. However, if the purpose changes from what the council has approved, the council is going to, again, need to do a budget amendment because that's a statutory requirement.
Mr. Ryan?
Okay. Does it sound? It was, back up a little bit. It was my understanding that in the past when I submitted the budget, some years we overspent, and I got my hands slapped for that, even though we were comfortable in it. What had happened was the first year when everyone basically folded up the sidewalks, we had gone on one trip that year. And the rest of the year, we didn't go on any because places closed down and we had no capability of doing that. So we lost, when the money disappeared. It was my understanding that prior to that, I had communications with Mark Liberta, and that the money was supposed to have been rolled over. And it was supposed to be treated the same as the Franklin Senior Inc. group was. And I think it was June is when I contacted Verify Our Budget, is when I noticed that we weren't getting the money and that I had to come back before the council. This year, we've gone on 3 trips. A lot of places still are not open. The initial intent is what I had set up when I was an alderman. This program was to use strictly for transportation. What we're asking for at this time is that the money be restored back into our budget for the years that it was taken away. But what we're looking for also is some discussion to be shared tonight. When I present my budget in January, what we were looking at maybe is, if this is going to get worse again, is some creative, where a lot of the groups are traveling groups that put on these shows for the places we go to. We were looking at contacting them and hiring them to come to us, that we could facilitate a facility that would have a stage and that they could perform for the citizens here, and we wouldn't have to travel. Therefore, the money that we would use to get to point A to B, we'd be doing the opposite. We'd be using that money to bring that group into the city. I had planned earlier in the season, but then we got into a long dialect back and forth, is that we were looking for the Christmas program where we were going to bring in some bands and some singing groups that would sing for the seniors and have a dinner. And again, we wouldn't be going out, they would be coming to us. Well, as time escaped, we lost that opportunity, but we did learn a lot from that. And it's something that I wanted the council to think about, that if this continues, we're not looking to build up our money. We're looking to entertain and have the seniors have the capability of coming and seeing a show and socializing and having a program go on. So we're doing a little bit of thinking outside the box to accommodate that. And that's what we're asking. When I come back in January with the budget, I can, put that on. But there's a lot of facilities that haven't even opened. And a lot of them are because of staff. They can't get the staff to, to facilitate. So we were looking at, as long as groups are out there and they're looking to get paid and put on a show, we were looking to open up that door. And with the help of the council and any suggestions that you may have or questions, that's what we were looking. We're not looking to reinvent anything, but we are looking to have entertainment come to us.
So, Mr. Ryan, what's the impact of this month, if you did that, where you brought entertainment here, what's the impact on the cost to put on the program, therefore the impact on the individual pricing for the people who choose to attend?
People who choose to attend would be free. What the cost then would be directly towards the people. If we have a lunch or something to that effect, we'd ask for, for that to be, reimbursed that way, because basically they would pay for the dinner. So somebody isn't saying that we're paying, but we would use the money that would normally go for a bus to bring in the group.
It may make sense to you. It didn't to me, but anyway. Alderman Hanneman.
Thank you.
Push a button.
Nope, thought I did.
Th-
Nope, I'm on. Thank you. And I'm absolutely supportive of the seniors program. And what you're saying does seem to make sense, looking at different ways to do things and bring in the entertainment. The memorandum of understanding that we have as a city, is it stipulated though currently that the money can only be used for transportation? So does that, would that ultimately require a rewriting of a memorandum of understanding and how the money is able to be used?
I agree.
I mean, do we have it codified, I guess is what I'm going after.
You're exactly right. When I wrote that up, I wrote it to be used just for transportation, so there would be no dilution of any funds for anything else as far as that, so that they were guaranteed the ability to get from point A to point B.
And so that's a separate issue that we maybe need to look at down the road.
Well, I would ask that that stay in place. What we're looking for is if this continues the way this is, that an exception in only a limited time frame. We're not looking to expand into a bigger frame because it's worked all of these years great. And it's successful. The problem that we have now is facilities aren't open.
Right.
But there are people that are artists with talent that need to work and want to work, and they're willing to come to facilities. And that's what but I wouldn't change that. I would just do an exception that if I come before the board in January that we say, it looks like it's getting worse, we'd like to do it and be hands-on with the council, that they work with us to see how this is going to work for the future. But nothing to take away from the original language that I had put in that ordinance back then and when we drew it up in resolution to make sure, because that safeguards this program and its success.
So if I'm correct, we have budgeted $22,000 for transportation. Am I correct? 12. I'm sorry, I was looking at the total line on that page. So $12,000 for the transportation, which in a normal year you would use
We'd use,
a little over, maybe a little under, but generally that's your annual budget.
yeah, we used to get 10, and then it was increased to 12 because we were constantly.
Yeah, and
So what we're looking for is, I have the numbers here so everyone knows what the numbers are. In 2020, when that first hit, we went on one trip. So there was a balance of $10,820 in there. In 2021, we've gone on 3 trips. So there's a balance of $6,815 in there. So we're looking at that those funds be returned to us, because once the door opens, for example, we're probably going to do a Lambeau Field. That on an average takes 3 to 4 buses. So when a lot of these people come out, when we did a trip to Chicago, that was 3 buses. We average on a slow day, these last 3 trips that we've gone on this year, we've averaged over 200 people. So we know that when it opens up, we're going to get a lot more participation. So those funds would greatly be served. The question I'm trying to bring now, instead of having someone say, well, why didn't you suggest that or talk to us about that when you were here, was saying, what if next year, no one's hoping that it does, we run into the same predicament that we can't go anywhere?
And I am supportive of rolling over the money, at least at this point in time, given the pandemic's no one's fault, obviously, and we want to get the seniors out traveling again as best as they can. I just don't want it to become a foregone conclusion that every year, if it's a normal travel year, that what's left then would be rolled over and build up sort of a slush fund going forward. That's not something that I'd want to see happen
No, and it
in the long term.
wouldn't either, and
I
that's,
want to be clear
yeah,
about.
that's why the language is in there the way I put it.
Alderman Barber.
I had a couple of the same questions that were just asked, but in the 2022 budget, there's $12,000 that we have budgeted just like normal processing. So none of that has changed. There's $12,000 in 2020 for everyone to know. I think there was some misinformation or some misunderstanding that we're trying to take money away, but that's not the case because we had it in the budget and it's there. So now you're asking for approximately $17,000 to be added to that $12,000.
Correct.
That is, in your understanding, is that a one-time at this point where we would do that? And because I could see this thing building up to be astronomical. So I mean, where do we set limits, or what would be your idea of how we would proceed in the future after this year?
In a good year, we exhaust that money. That's why we came back to the Common Council and asked for additional 2. So the 12,000 will exhaust. The problem that we foresee is and anticipate is when everything starts to open up, we're going to get a lot more seniors that are going to wanting to go on trips. So that would help us rather than turning them down. Plus, with the fuel cost and that cost have gone up. So this would basically replenish it. Was money that was set aside. It would go back into the funds to help us, do it, and we'd go on trips, and it would be exhausted because there's a demand.
Okay, so that's 27,000 roughly that you're, more than 29,000. Oh, okay. Am I eligible?
How old are you?
20 years.
For 20 years, I've been shot at.
He said it, not me.
Alderman Wilhelm.
Well, I don't think that we'd have to overcomplicate this. It seems to me like if we, let's say he wants to use like the high school auditorium and he brings someone in, there's a cost to bring them in, there's a cost to pay for that. It's not like tickets like they were doing before. And he may still need a bus to transport everybody to the high school. So the costs are going to increase with this COVID situation. And I think he's just saying, hey, just help make us whole so we can do this. I think it's time to just make the vote and move on. And if he needs to change the program, he knows where we are.
I still have that invitation.
Yes.
So
Write that down.
just to recap, the terms stay the same. The intention is for bus transportation only. The annual amount stays the same, $12,000. So 2022 does not change. The rollover would be 635, excuse me. And that money can be used for other things, but you have to come and tell us what it's for.
Right,
We're just going to restore it, but you're going to come and ask for it.
right. So if we use it
Well, that's not
strictly,
entirely, excuse me, Basil, that's not entirely correct because you still have, 21 days yet to spend some of that.
no, I can assure you we're not going to spend
All
that.
right, so it's 632. So if I can restate the motion clearly. Mr. City Attorney.
Mayor, that you said the $12,000 allocation still had to be used only for travel as opposed to both of them all of them added together could be used for local entertainment, etc.
If Mr. Ryan and the program want to change the use for a use, they come back and say, we need $6,000 to bring some group, and we want to use 6,000 of the balance of the 29,000. That's all. But if they have a bus trip, off they go.
So I think that to summarize what the city attorney is saying, as long as if everything tomorrow changes and we're all great and no more masks or shots or anything like that, we'll move on and the money will be used just for buses. If for some reason that it gets worse, I know my wife and we canceled a trip because things are getting hectic and that. Then we would open up a creative door of bringing in entertainment to us, and at that point, I would come back to the council and say we're going to have to take that road. So there's an understanding. And at that road, I'd say we're looking at bringing this in, and utilizing the money because, as the Alderwoman said, I don't want to have a slush fund and I don't want money accumulating. I want to use it, and I want to use it for the seniors to have them be able to be active in the community, not watching funds grow.
Alderman Mayor. And
I
then
think-
Alderman Hofer.
I think we're overcomplicating this thing. I think Mr. Ryan does a really good job. Every year he comes in with his budget itemized, exactly what was spent, what it was spent on, and how many people, more importantly, how many people have taken part in all of the various trips. I think 2022 budget should stay as it is. The other rollover he should be able to use. I don't think he has to come in here for approval each time they determine some sort of an entertainment thing. He's going to bring us the annual report, and it's going to be itemized in there. I think we just move on.
I'm going to call the question.
Excuse me. Oh, we don't do that.
This is the procedure I call the question.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you read the motion?
Alderman Mayor moved to roll over unspent funds for 2020 and 2021 for the Franklin Senior Travel Program with funding to come from fund balance and approved at a future Common Council meeting. And your discussion regarding the amounts and what it was set for and whether he was going to come back were not part of the motion as before the question was called, so.
So,
And the Director of Administration is shaking her head.
Because the 2021 money is already allocated, so that's going to have to come back as a budget amendment at the next meeting. So this action, all it has to do is say that council approves the senior travel program to use the 17,635 and direct staff to do a budget amendment for the 10,820. And that'll take care of the financial records.
okay, the question has been called.
Yes.
Is there a second on the, no? Question being called. Is there a second on, Alderman Barber seconded? Is there a second to the call of the question? Second. Okay, we'll give Alderman Mayor because he said it politely. Okay, on the question, on the call of the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Madam Clerk,
Point of clarification.
there is nothing on the question, call of the question.
Point of clarification on the motion, Mayor.
You can't. You can't. You call the question, it's over. It's over. It is what it is.
Well,
Right? She called the question.
I
Doesn't matter. She called the question. You
heard-
live by the rule, you die by the rule, right?
can
Both of you. It's the way it is.
I heard something in the motion that I didn't say in my second one. And that's,
Then
there
you
was
should,
something right into the motion.
then there's a different solution to that.
What would that be? Assist?
You vote no.
To call the question.
I just wanted.
You vote no to call the
Can-
question.
Can
Vote
you
on
read-
calling the
reread
question.
the motion?
No, you need, you call the question gets called. On the call of the question, you got to vote on that. If you don't want to call the question, you vote no on calling the question.
No, I'm not, I'm talking about when we get to the motion, restate the motion. That's it. That's all I'm asking.
That we can do.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, on calling the question, we're taking a roll call. It passed 5-1, but here's the, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Nelson.
Aye.
Alderman Barber. Alderwoman Hanneman.
No.
Alderwoman Wilhelm.
Aye.
Alderman Mayor.
Aye.
Alderman Hopfer.
Aye. Still passed, but it's 4-2. Okay, the question has been called. Madam Clerk, please reread the question.
I'm going to have the Director of Administration read the motion that she made because that was not the wording that was used by the
Aye.
maker of the motion.
Council directs staff to bring back a budget amendment in the amount of $10,820 to restore the 2020 funds for the senior travel program, and direct staff to bring a carryover request at the next meeting for $6,815 of existing budget funds for the senior travel program to be used in 2022.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, baby. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, seniors.
They did sing, you should hear them on the bus.
They did what?
You should hear them sing on the bus.
Okay, but you didn't sing happy birthday. Let's not go in there.
All right, let's move this.
You watch, you will ask you how old you
fine.
are.
66.
$16,000.
Young, yeah. Russ, come on. You didn't ask me how old I felt. That's a whole different story, right, Connie? All right, we're going to continue on. Thanks, everybody. G3, request from the Common Council approval of purchase agreement for the 2022 Seagrave Marauder Pumper.
Second. Just one quick question.
Alderman Mayor, and then the chief has her.
Sure you want to see Graves?
You pushed your button twice.
You got it. Yeah, okay.
It's all stainless. It's the only one in the market that's all stainless. Cab, everything. All the internal ducting and piping is all welded stainless. It's nothing like any other rig. If you want to stop, and I'll extend this invitation to everyone, if you want to stop at Station 1, our engine 111 is a couple-year older model, but essentially the same. So I can show you all that stuff, what really makes it different.
Okay.
Did I
I'll
mention
take you
those
up on
things?
that.
Did I mention the other things?
Okay.
Sure, yeah. if you-
Alderman Mayer's mic wasn't on. He questioned the chief as to, did he really want a Seagrave? And the chief said, you betcha. Okay.
So we just have a couple,
Yes, there is a couple of things. Mr. City Attorney? No?
I got it.
Madam Director of Administration?
So the city attorney and I have been working with the fire chief on this, and everything is what it is. Seagrave has very standard contracts. We have two concerns with that. One of them is we have to pay a lot of money ahead of time. There's 4 progress payments, 20, 25%, et cetera, along the way. And there's some liability language that we're not comfortable with. So I have a call into our provider, insurance provider, to see if we're able to get some in-progress type insurance coverages. I also have a call into Seagrave on that. We had one more question. We know of another municipal agency that is buying under a cooperative purchasing contract, and we just want to see if that's still open and there's any way we can do anything on that. So this is certainly needed. It's a 440-day lead time, so we don't want to delay in the approval. However, we will get those issues taken care of before we're proceeding, and I think we have until December 31st to do that.
So the motion is with contract changes by the Director of Administration. Is that correct? That's your motion? And a second, okay. Anyone else? Alderman Hanneman.
Christen it like a ship.
There's a tradition where it gets blessed and showered with like a master stream. So,
Okay,
yeah, possibly.
You bring champagne.
it's exciting.
Yeah, for $750,000, it better be exciting. Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed?
440 days construction, so it'll be here roughly year in.
Early 2023.
Madam Clerk, would you mark that as unanimous, please? Without objection? Okay, thanks, Chief. Good job. Go forth and spend some money.
Yeah.
Next item, request from Franklin Fire Department. We did that one. G4, approval to purchase 5 thermal imaging cameras at a cost not to exceed $23,400. Okay, we're going to do Wilhelm first and Mayor second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. G5, page 71, an ordinance to amend 2020-2453, an ordinance adopting the 2021 budget for capital outlay for 23,450 for the thermal imaging. This time it's Mayor and then Wilhelm. All those, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Nelson.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hanneman.
Aye.
Alderwoman Wilhelm.
Aye.
Alderman Mayor.
Aye.
Alderman Holzberg.
Aye.
Motion carries, 6 ayes, no noes, no absent, no abstentions. G6, page 73, is an ordinance to amend the special use for essentially the YMCA to operate 24 hours. Alderman Wilhelm.
I guess I wanted to know if there was a need for any change in the lighting. I read that there's no changes required, but what I mean by lighting for 24 hours, will there need to be lighting 24 hours that's going to be a change to how they have the lights on and off now?
There is no external changes, and the applicant's here and they're nodding, no changes.
So they won't be needing to have the lights on the parking lot where they're usually off, but now they'll be usually on for 24 hours.
Name and address.
State my name. Chris Boudet, the applicant. with both holdings, or actually this will be River Rock Performance Properties LLC at 1110 North Old World, 3rd Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. With regards to the exterior light in the building, it is on, as far as the pathway to the building from the parking lot and at the main entry of the building, it's already on 24 hours a day. The parking lot lights, those are actually not our lights. That is on, we utilize those on a ground lease from Rock Ventures. I believe the way they're operated is with motion sensors. So they'll come on if there is motion in the parking lot, and that is typically a code requirement in order to provide a minimum level of lighting for safety.
That's good that they're on the motion sensors, and that was my question. I
Yeah,
don't know
and
if you're going to
that's how I
get.
believe they're set up.
Okay.
Again, that's not
I don't
our
know if you're
property.
going to start getting complaints because now the lights weren't on in the evening and now they're shining in their bedrooms. I'm just thinking about how that might go. The only other comment I had is the city department comments on page 79 include everything but the police department. Was there any? There's no, pardon me, Mayor?
There was no comments.
Okay,
Passed unanimously. Plan Commission.
thank you.
Thank you.
Do we vote? All those in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. G7, page 93, a resolution for conservation easement for Dorothy Bosch Common Trust. Nelson and Mayor, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. G8, page 103, is an advertising package as recommended by the Economic Development Commission. Alderman Barber. Okay. Barber and Holfer, Mr. City Attorney.
Spoke with the Director of Economic Development, and the thought was to perhaps utilize a standard form city services agreement, since what's in the agenda packet is only a proposal.
That would be correct. I spoke with Multiview this afternoon, and they find our contract perfectly acceptable, and they are aware that it's possible that it will come back with some technical changes. But they have reviewed the document, and they have no issues with it whatsoever.
Will we be getting an official contract so we know what we are actually getting for our money? Is that upcoming?
There will be the contract in which we will engage their services. And then in the packet of information that was provided near the back, it talks about the timeline. There's a section of time where they'll do an interview to find out what our priorities are, who we want to target specifically, which of the many components we want to a la carte put together as our menu of our campaign, which is then tweakable throughout the year. So the contract will state we're basically going to spend $18,000 for a calendar year for any number of things that will be determined through the creative process on the front end and then tweaked as we go forward, with a dashboard that will help us to measure our effectiveness over time so that we can make further tweaks and become more effective at targeting who we're trying to target for site selection and other development opportunities in Franklin.
I'm really good with, having the money and spending this on this. My concern was one of these items where we don't know what we get until after we vote for it. And we have an idea what we're going to get. One of the concerns I have is, is this going to be any political faces involved in advertisement and videos and, so it's not going to be any politics. No one's going to be like, oh, I'm the,
Absolutely not. For site selectors and others in that industry, working with governments is a necessary part of the business of developing, but it is not what we want to lead with front and center. We want to be business focused. We want to be presenting our community advantages, which are primarily logistics, space, having a beautiful natural environment, lots of parks and recreation, and those types of messaging. I would not anticipate that there would be any faces of anyone in Franklin in any videos, should that be the direction that we pursue. And we might actually find in the creative vetting process of how we want to present to the rest of the virtual world, that we will go with banner ads or we will go with something else entirely, such as geofencing. For example, if someone is literally driving by 27th and Oakwood, we could have it so that they receive a notification, hey, there's sites available here. Click to find out more information.
Okay.
Or someone could be driving by a Milkmen game. Hey, we also have the Conservancy for Healing and Heritage. Come check it out. Click here. So I can't tell you what versions of the various online marketing tools that will be put together for our 18,000, but I can tell you that it will be all business forward.
How will you, because that's a nonprofit you just mentioned, how will you determine who gets to be part of this? I mean, this nonprofit gets to be, this nonprofit doesn't get to be. I mean, I guess I would be a lot more comfortable if we had sort of that list, or at least after we make this motion and you go through this vetting process, then you bring it back to the council and say, okay, is there any objections to any, I think I'm speaking. Is there any objections to the council on any of these items that we have now identified? Because right now, it's like 18,000, council has no control, and
So my thought was, and I don't mean to speak for Alderman Barber as a member of the Economic Development Commission, but that particular body has been looking for ways to be effective and to partner with council, particularly in the areas of marketing and economic development promotion. And I think that that body would be very pleased to have the opportunity to be part of that creative process and put that campaign together. And I also don't see any reason why we couldn't provide through staff a quarterly or whatever routine you deem acceptable reporting on what's happening that will give you an opportunity to provide input and feedback so that we can further tweak and modify the program and make it more effective over time.
but you're talking after the fact, a report, not prior to. I'm just saying, what if there's one things in there we would not be happy with or something, and we have no opportunity after that? We have no input, we have no ask, we have no citizen,
Well, we do have a 7-member commission who is made up of the citizenry and 1 elected official. If this body would like to have more of an oversight, then that would completely be up to your discretion. But I would really like to defer to Alderman Barber as a representative of both the council and the Economic Development Commission for any further comment.
Well, don't get me wrong, it's not oversight as much as it's knowledge. Knowledge is very helpful for all of us to understand instead of after the fact information. So, if you're heading down a path, why couldn't you just update us as we're going on, this is what we've come up with so far, even, before you spend the money, this is where we're headed. And it doesn't seem like that's asking a lot. If you're headed in a direction, we should know which direction as council members.
I call for the question.
Is there a second to the call? Okay, moved and seconded. On the call, Mr. City Attorney.
Understanding that an approval, if approved, ultimately will allow for the Economic Development Director to include the standard form city services agreement as negotiated and approved by her.
That's correct.
That was my understanding of the motion.
On the question, all those in favor to call the question, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On the question, Madam Clerk, can you read the motion back?
Alderman Barber moved to accept the Economic Development Commission recommendation regarding the advertising package for fiscal year 2022 and approve the purchase of an $18,000 advertising package with multi-view using funds allocated for marketing in the 2021 Economic Development budget.
On the standard form city contract with changes by the Director of Administration and City Attorney.
That's correct.
Okay, on the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
G9, page 139 is a proposal to modify the schedule for residential brush drop-off and recycling to Tuesdays and Thursdays only.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Good job, Glenn. G10 on page 141 is a resolution to purchase .1767 acres from Payne and Dolan for the 51st Street and Drexel Avenue roundabout. That's $16,000. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. G11, page 149, is an authorization to allow certain officials to execute a collateral assignment development agreement from Oakwood Industrial to Associated Bank. This is a formality, but this is to allow Juan Gardens to assign their development letter to their bank. Let's give that to Hanneman and Holfer and Alderman Wilhelm.
Is there a development agreement Exhibit B that we could read? And there was no changes, or there were changes since then?
This is just allowing them to sign it over to.
I'm talking about the development agreement. It says that the Exhibit B is attached. I go to Exhibit B, there's no Exhibit B. Since we adapted, were there any corrections, changes, or anything? Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
No changes to the developers agreement, and this is already in there.
Well, let's try it again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. G12, a recommendation to correct a recently identified 2021 health plan issue. Madam Director of Administration.
As council is aware, this item has been going on since approximately October 14th. On that date, state staff was made aware of an issue, a compliance issue with the health insurance plan, the design for family plans on the qualified high deductible plan. This issue was discovered by the city's newly selected third-party administrator for health insurance, UMR, as they were working to set the plan up for 2022 when they are scheduled to take over. The compliance issue is due to an incorrect threshold being used when stacking health reimbursement arrangement on top of a health savings account, and part of the qualified high deductible plan. Health reimbursement arrangement happens to be a $1 benefit. Health savings account is making some requirements. We have them properly stacked, but the threshold that is supposed to be used on a family plan is at least $2,800 in claims have to be hit by the family before any HRA funds can be used. And we used a threshold of $1,500 per member, so we used it as an embedded. We've been working on this long and hard. We have staff from the city has been working on it. Rayanne Beaudry from our health insurance consultant is here. They've been working on it very hard with their legal team. They have actually hired an attorney to provide an opinion letter to the city. That's an attorney from BLO Vetter that the city works with. This is something that the Personnel Committee has been very involved with since the middle of October as well. Last night, we believe there were three viable options. We presented those to the Personnel Committee last night, and the Personnel Committee had a very good discussion. We actually have a member on our Personnel Committee that's a retired IRS agent, so it was really informative, and he had some really good information as well. But in the end, the Personnel Committee is recommending to the council, as well as staff and the outside attorney, option 2 being the best path forward to resolve the issue for our employees on the family plan. Option 2 is laid out on page 160 in the packet, bottom of 159 and top of 160. So basically, all the months that the HRA funds are accessed by those family plan members would be the months that the HSA contributions would be taxable. Our consultant is going to provide the funding to handle the taxability on that. There's some legal fees involved, some indemnification, and perhaps some administrative fees, depending on where we end up here. So the option number 2, the attorney that opined on it for the city has basically said he feels like we're on reasonably solid ground. He does not think this is going to be an IRS issue in the future. However, if it is, there is that indemnification in place that would cover it. Members of the Personnel Committee might have some more comments.
Just clarification, I'm ready to move option 2, but I just want to make clarification from the discussion last night. Now, this was no fault of the city, this was no fault of the employees, just an unfortunate situation that occurred. Option 2 was the one that you indicated last night, made the employees the most whole over option 1, correct?
No, I don't think one or the other, option 1 or 2 make the employees more whole. I think option 2 is less disruptive to employees.
Okay.
Because it's not their HSA funds for the entire year. So a lot of people, so even though these monies are going to have to be removed from the HSA fund for the affected months, and the employees are going to get it, they're going to get it without strings, so that's a good thing. It's going to be a hassle for our employees because they have to remove some funds. We're still working on some of the logistics of that. But when people are doing tax planning, they don't really want it. It's kind of like keeping money in your checking account when you have the special savings account. They are going to have to make some adjustments on that. So I don't think either option makes it the employees more whole. I think option 2 is just less disruptive.
And making them more whole is not the right phrase for that, because both will make them whole. And that's really, the goal is to make the employees whole. So
Correct.
whatever we choose, that needs to be there. But I think the less disruptive is how you described it again last night too. So option 2 would probably be the most desirable for the employees as well as the city. So I would move to go forward with option 2, ensuring that the employees are made whole. And they would get written notice that they can use with their tax professionals, because that was the form that you presented last night. That would suffice for
So
that.
that's going to be the minimum that we're going to give them. We're actually talking about how it's going to appear on the paychecks, and it might get a little bit more complex. So now I'm thinking of adding another fact sheet to the back of that so that they can have more information. So all the information you
Okay.
saw last night would definitely be included,
And
and we're
possibly
looking at
more.
adding more.
Okay.
And I'm going to set aside 2 days here before the end of the year as well to meet with any employees that want to talk about it, so I can
Okay.
explain it one-on-one to them as well.
And I want to thank you for your hard work and diligence in resolving this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As Mayor and Barber, just one other point for those who are not familiar with this issue, who may be watching on TV. This is not going to cost the city any money other than staff time, which is costing us money, but it's not going to cost us cash out of pocket. And the employees, as Alderman Mayor points out, will be made whole. So with that, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Rayanne. G13 is the October 2021 financial report. Any questions? You got a question? Alderman Wilhelm.
This is for the Director Administration. Peggy, on page, I think it's 180, it's in the capital improvement section where it has the word grant in one of the columns for the funding for Marquette. What is that grant? 182, yeah. Right about in the middle of the page. It's under the Public Works category. First top line, Public Works.
I'm not sure what that's referring to. I will look into that and get back to you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Barber and Hanneman move to place on file. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item, the license thing? Huh. H, Alderman Nelson.
Okay, start with, on the. Approve, number 1, Krieger, 2, Stablaski, 3, White. Tavernier Missionaries, approve with proof of insurance. Franklin Noon Lions Club, approve with proof of insurance. Franklin Lions Foundation is approved. And Franklin Park Concerts, Inc. is approved.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item I1, vouchers. Is there a motion approving city vouchers on any date of December the 2nd in the amount of $3,477,079.54 and payroll dated November 19th, 2021 amount of $422,493.65 in payments to various payroll deductions in the amount of $447,683.93 plus city matching payments, and payroll dated December the 3rd, 2021, in the amount of $425,535.84 in payments to various payroll deductions in the amount of $244,211.52 plus city matching payments, and estimated payroll of December 17th, estimated at $440,000, and payments of the various payroll deductions in the amount estimated at $485,000 plus city matching payments, and approval of release payment to Payne and Dolan not to exceed $16,000.
So move.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hopfer.
Aye.
Alderman Mayor.
Aye.
Alderwoman Wilhelm. Alderwoman Hanneman.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Nelson.
Aye.
Motion carries, 6 ayes, no noes, no absent, no abstentions. With that, we're going to end the broadcast portion of this evening's meeting and fade that to black as we go into closed session. But we don't have any lawyers yet. So let's reconvene at 7:30.